The morning the money disappeared, I was playing video games. Just another Saturday. No drama. No noise. Then Dad called my name, sharp, direct, with that tone that meant something serious had happened. When I came downstairs, he was standing in the doorway of his office. The safe was open. Empty. $5,000 gone. I didn't touch it, I said automatically. He didn't reply. Behind him, my sister stood against the wall, arms folded, face pale. She wasn't saying anything. Which was weird because she always said something. Usually something dramatic. Did you? He asked. No, I repeated. Mom joined a minute later. More whispers. More suspicion. Then came the part that really messed me up. My sister finally spoke. Maybe he thought it was just lying around. 12 words. That was all it took to turn the tide. I looked at her like she was a stranger. What the hell are you talking about? You're always in here, she said, eyes wide, lip trembling. You're always touching stuff. My dad nodded like that made sense. Like I had some long history of stealing. Spoiler, I didn't. Maybe he didn't mean to, she added. Like I had a habit of accidentally stealing $5,000. Why would I take it? I asked. They didn't answer. They didn't have to. By dinner, the verdict had been decided. No proof. No logic. Just vibes. And all of them pointed at me. Maybe some discipline would help, Dad said. Mom didn't argue. She just looked tired. They didn't ground me. They didn't yell. They enrolled me in Bradford Military Academy. Maybe some structure will help you, Mom told me, avoiding my eyes. Structure. That was the word they used when they didn't want to say, "We think you're broken." I was 15. My room was packed by morning. My phone taken. My sister hugged me goodbye like I was going to a boarding summer camp, not a boot camp with barbed wire. And then I was gone. Bradford was a different planet. Waking up at 5 a.m. every day. Marching. Push-ups. Uniform inspections. Drill sergeants who could smell weakness like sharks smell blood. I wasn't the biggest. I wasn't the strongest. But I was angry, and I kept my mouth shut. That made me dangerous. By the end of year 1, I could assemble a rifle faster than anyone in my squad. By year 2, I was writing Python scripts on a cracked laptop in the library after lights out. Because I knew that discipline wasn't just physical. It was systems. Habits. Control. They had taken everything from me, and I used it. My parents sent letters. I didn't read them. My sister? Nothing. And honestly, I preferred it that way. They forgot about me. But I never forgot what they did. Especially her. Because 3 months before graduation, I got a message from someone back home, a friend of a friend. They told me the truth. My sister had confessed at a party. She stole the money. Blew it on a secret weekend trip with her boyfriend. Drunk bragging. Laughed about how she felt bad watching me get shipped off. But she let it happen anyway. I stared at the message for 10 minutes. I didn't cry. Didn't scream. I just added one more line to the mental file I'd been building since the day I left. This wasn't about fixing me. This was about protecting her. And they made their choice. So I made mine. Bradford ran on rules. If you didn't follow them, you suffered. If you did follow them, you learned. At first, I kept my head down just to survive. It wasn't about thriving. It was about not breaking. The first winter there, I fractured my knuckle punching a steel locker after a sergeant accused me of slacking during drills. He didn't report it. Just gave me that smile, the one that said, "Now you get it." Pain wasn't punishment here. It was currency. I learned to trade in it. By year 2, I was running obstacle course times faster than most juniors. Not because I cared about medals, but because speed meant fewer questions. Fewer eyes on me. That's when I started thinking long-term. Bradford offered electives, weird ones. Tactical systems, logic modeling, even cybersecurity basics. Stuff they didn't advertise on the brochures. I took every class they'd let me into. Learned to run simulated attacks on network systems. Built test infrastructures from scratch. I wasn't just lifting weights anymore. I was building skeletons. Code. Strategy. Silence. I wasn't trying to be noticed. I was trying to vanish in the right direction. By senior year, I got special permission to intern off campus at a local defense contractor. Part-time stuff, mostly coffee runs and spreadsheets. But I paid attention. Watched the older engineers. Learned which systems broke, and why. They thought I was just the kid who knew how to alphabetize folders. Meanwhile, I was sketching out frameworks in my notebook for an idea I couldn't stop thinking about. A modular, lightweight tracking system for financial accountability, something families, schools, and businesses could use to prevent internal theft. Ironic, right? They sent me here for stealing. And I was building software that could have exposed my sister in 10 seconds. My parents never visited once. Not once. They sent gift cards for holidays. My mom wrote, "Hope you're growing into a man we can be proud of." My dad never wrote anything. And my sister? Her social media told me everything I needed to know. Photos from concerts. Shopping trips. A study abroad semester in Spain. Paid for, I assume, with the savings they could have used to get me home for a single weekend. By the time I graduated, I didn't want to go back. Bradford handed me a certificate. But it was the discipline they gave me that mattered. I had an idea. I had code. And I had motivation most people can't fake. So I didn't go to college. I took the military academy's offer of a small government grant, one they give to troubled youths who complete the full program. Used it to rent a single-room apartment above a dry cleaner 3 towns over. And I built. During the day, I worked security shifts, guarding parking garages, nightclubs, and libraries. At night I coded. The tracking software was clunky at first. Ugly UI. Buggy inputs. But it worked. It logged behavior. Flagged unusual patterns. And most importantly, it created a trail no one could edit. I called it Cinder. A digital ashtray. Evidence that stuck around. The first client was a charter school. Their admin caught a janitor rerouting cleaning supply orders for side hustle resale. Fired on the spot. Second was a family-owned shop. The owner's niece had been skimming from the till. She denied it, until Cinder showed her the time-stamped logs of every shift she'd padded. Small fish. But real. And I made sure every single invoice from Cinder Software Incorporated had my full name printed clearly at the bottom. Just in case it ever crossed my sister's desk. I wasn't chasing success. I was loading ammunition. The email came in with the subject line, "Come home this year?" From Mom. The body was short. 2 sentences. "We're all getting together for Thanksgiving. It would mean a lot if you came." No calls. No warm-up. Just a last-minute seat at a table I wasn't supposed to return to. I stared at it for a while. The younger version of me would have replied with rage. Or silence. Maybe both. But I wasn't him anymore. So I answered, "I'll come. I have a business trip nearby anyway." Which was a lie. But they didn't need the truth yet. I pulled up my old folder, the one marked Family. Inside it were scans of old messages, screenshots of my sister's confessions from that party, and a spreadsheet I'd built called Recompense. In it were every known expense they paid for her while I was in military school, spa retreats, flights, study abroad programs, rent. I wasn't bitter. I was itemizing. The day I arrived back home, I didn't knock. Mom opened the door like I was a long-lost son who'd just returned from war. "Look at you," she said, all emotional fog and smiling tension. "So grown." Dad stood behind her, arms crossed, nodding like he was inspecting a used car. Then came Paige. Still dressed like Instagram was filming. Still smug. "Didn't think you'd show," she said. "I'm full of surprises." I replied. We sat around the table. Turkey. Stuffing. Fake laughter. Matt, our cousin, was also there, bragging about his new fintech job. I asked 2 questions and knew within 5 minutes that his job was mostly title and no salary. Dad started talking about how resilience builds character. I nearly laughed. They tried asking about my work. I do software, I said. Paige made a face. Like apps? No, I said, sipping my drink. Like surveillance. Monitoring. Accountability tech. The silence was sharp enough to carve the turkey. Later that night, I pretended to be asleep on the couch. I heard them whispering in the kitchen. He turned out okay, Mom said. Dad, Bradford might have worked after all. Paige, he's still weird. Mom again. Maybe we should ask him to talk to your uncle. He's got some tax issues. I closed my eyes tighter. They didn't want me. They wanted what I built. So I gave them what they asked for. 2 weeks later, I emailed Dad pretending to follow up. I offered to take a look at Uncle Ron's tax situation, for free, just a favor. I framed it like a business trial. Then I looped him into Cinder. Within a week, I had full access to Uncle Ron's business financials. That's when I learned something interesting. Paige wasn't just stealing from Dad when we were teens. She had her hand in Ron's accounts too. She had access to payroll logs. She'd inflated her contract billing with fake vendor receipts, buried under Ron's nose for over 2 years. She wasn't a thief. She was a serial one. I didn't say anything. I just created a new Cinder report. Sent it anonymously to Ron with the subject line, "You're being robbed. Here's proof." No sender. No signature. Just clean, timestamp data. 2 days later, Paige was fired. Publicly. Ron held a family accountability call over Zoom. Paige cried. Dad defended her. Mom blamed Ron's management style. Me? I stayed silent. No one even thought to ask how he found the proof. That was the beginning. I wasn't just collecting receipts anymore. I was serving them. Paige cried on social media before she ever picked up a phone. A 5-slide story. Pastel background. Sobbing selfie. Caption. Sometimes the people closest to you betray you first. The comment section turned into a pity party. I'm so sorry, girl. Keep your head up. Family will stab you faster than strangers. She didn't mention the fake vendor invoices. Or the falsified expense sheets. Or the fact that she'd been funneling thousands from Uncle Ron's company while bragging on weekends about her consulting empire. But I knew. Because I'd been quietly tracking it all. And now, I owned the evidence. See, Orban Supply Chain Solutions wasn't just a family business, it was a crumbling one. Uncle Ron had decent revenue, but no automation. No fraud detection. No compliance backbone. It was a goldmine for someone like me. Through a private equity group partnered with Cinder, we acquired 49% of Orban's operational control. The contract was airtight, Ron stayed on as figurehead, but all system upgrades went through me. Cinder was now fully embedded. And my name was on the governance charter, hidden behind 2 layers of shell ownership. Exactly how I liked it. I didn't want to run Orban. I wanted to own the locks on its doors. Once installed, Cinder flagged every past invoice with Paige's name attached. Not out of spite. Out of protocol. Every transaction she manipulated was now part of a digital paper trail, logged, categorized, and added to our internal fraud behavior index. It became part of the onboarding course for new clients. Slide 3. Profile page, when trust replaces oversight. Her face wasn't on it. But her legacy was. Then she called. Block number. Private ID. I answered. You think I don't know it was you? Her voice was sharp. Cracked. Not angry, panicked. You did this. I can feel it. You've always hated me. I didn't respond right away. Just let the silence settle. She continued. All these years, you held on to that one mistake. You're sick. You need help. You made it a pattern, I said. Calm. Flat. I didn't fire you. Your actions did. You set me up. No, I corrected. I let your history catch up. She was breathing hard now. You think this makes you better than me? No. Just smarter. That broke her. You're pathetic. You'll always be that bitter little boy they sent away. That's all you are. A vulture. No, I said softly. I'm the person you made me. She hung up. The next day, I received a message from one of our implementation partners. Orban rollout complete. Risk exposure reports finalized. Training deck live. I opened the deck. Skimmed the slides. Slide 3. Her name. Her fraud profile. Her numbers. Every lie converted into a metric. She had finally become what she feared most, a lesson. No one in the family connected the dots. They thought her firing was some office politics mess. That Ron had gone too far. That maybe Paige had made a mistake but didn't deserve public humiliation. They didn't ask where the audit came from. They didn't question how Cinder got involved. They never even Googled who owned it. And I wasn't going to correct them. Let them keep their story. The prodigal son doing surprisingly well. The dropout who got lucky. Let them say whatever helped them sleep. I was too busy locking down their world. One clause. One asset. One exposed lie at a time. Thanksgiving came again. This time, I wasn't invited. No email. No. Come home. No attempt to fake warmth. I wasn't surprised. Paige had gone radio silent since our last call. Uncle Ron stopped speaking to most of the family after they accused him of throwing her under the bus. Dad was barely holding the center together. But Mom? She broke the silence. Her message came on a Tuesday morning. We may not always say it, but we're proud of how you've bounced back. That phrase hit harder than anything Paige ever said. Bounce back. Like I'd slipped. Like I'd gotten lucky. Like I hadn't spent years in a cold dorm plotting every move, designing systems from scratch, surviving off ramen and spite. I didn't bounce. I forged. So I opened my computer. Pulled up the Cinder interface. Created a new report. A summary file. Page K. Internal activity log, case closed. Vendor inflation, 7 instances. Payroll tampering, 3. Unauthorized reimbursements, 5. Termination cause, verified fraud. Attached to it, I added 2 redacted contracts. The acquisition file for Orban's buyout. The implementation agreement for Cinder's oversight. I compressed them into a PDF. Labeled it, for transparency. And sent it to my mother's email. No subject line. No message. Just the truth. She didn't reply for 3 days. Then I got a call. Blocked number. Again. But I knew the voice this time. You sent that to your mother? Dad asked. Not angry. Not confused. Just low. I sent the truth, I said. You think that helps anything? He muttered. You think you're making a point? I'm making a record. She's your sister. She was your responsibility. I shot back. You chose to protect her. And now you live with that. You don't understand what families are. No, I said. I understand exactly. Families protect their favorites and exile their threats. You're bitter. No, I corrected. I'm informed. He didn't argue. Didn't yell. Just hung up. That was the last time he ever called. But it wasn't the last message. 2 days later, Mom sent one more. I read the file. I didn't know it was all so deep. We failed you. And we failed her, too. That was it. No excuses. No deflections. Just failure in writing. For once, it was enough. I didn't reply. Because this wasn't about revenge anymore. It was about audit. About finally seeing the numbers match the narrative. They used to say I was paranoid, unstable, bitter. Now the math told a different story. And math doesn't beg for forgiveness. I archived the email. Tagged it. Resolved. Then I turned back to work. Because Cinder had landed 3 new clients that week. Because a new school district had reached out asking for help in detecting admin fraud. Because somewhere, another family was letting a lie slide, and I was getting ready to expose it. Because discipline, once learned, never leaves. And mine had just begun. 6 months after she vanished from the group chat, Paige reemerged. A new profile picture. A new bio. Strategy-focused. Resilient. Purpose-driven. She started posting again. Polished carousels. Quotes about adversity. A carousel slide about leadership through hard moments. Got over 2,000 likes. The comments were a parade of curated sympathy. You've always inspired me. You've got this. Rooting for your next chapter. She even dropped a line in one post that made me stop scrolling. It's not about what knocks you down. It's about who's still standing when the dust settles. Cute. And then her resume hit one of our pipelines. It showed up in the short list of applicants for a comms strategist role at Alaria, one of Cinder's silent network companies. Not directly tied to our brand, but running our hiring protocol and reporting into our candidate tracking software. The moment I saw her name, I flagged it. Not to block it. To watch. Wanna pass on this one? The hiring manager messaged me. Actually, I wrote back. Interview her. Record it. She showed up in a virtual call wearing a blazer and a carefully curated bookshelf behind her, filled with business books and a globe. She smiled through her answers. Talked about collaboration, navigating difficult past roles, and how she was more grounded now. She used words like pivot and recalibrate. She never once admitted fault. And when asked about her last job, she paused dramatically. I left because the environment turned hostile. Family businesses are complex. That was the closest she got to accountability. She had become fluent in euphemism. I watched the recording 3 times. Not out of malice, but fascination. This was the same girl who cried to Dad when she crashed Mom's car at 16 and blamed me for messing with the brakes. The same one who once framed me for losing Grandma's necklace, which she pawned 2 towns over. She had always been the star of her own cover story. And now, she was pitching it to me. After the call, the hiring manager followed up. She's polished, but a little too rehearsed. What's your vote? I asked. Gut says no. But I'd take your lead. I sent one message. Decline. No feedback. Let her wonder why. Days later, her LinkedIn went quiet. Posts deleted. Status changed to private. Then I saw something that made me pause. She removed her graduation year from her university listing. A small thing. But I knew what it meant, erasing the timeline. Cleaning the trail. She was trying to outpace her digital shadow. She didn't know that I was the shadow now. 2 weeks later, one of our system partners flagged a new application she submitted to a fintech firm. They were beta testing our fraud prediction API. Her name pinged again. I didn't block it. Just added a soft tag to the backend. High risk, documented irregularities and historical behavior. The system noted it. Noted me. Logged the origin. Quietly deprioritized her in the stack. She wasn't blacklisted. Just slowed. Waited. The way a system handles sand in its gears. A week later, a card arrived. No return address. Inside was a blank white sheet of paper, nothing written, just a neatly folded corner. The exact way she used to fold notes in high school when we'd pass them under the dinner table. No words. But I knew. She knew. And maybe that was enough. I didn't celebrate. Didn't screenshot anything. Just flagged the event as resolved. Because when you own the system, you don't gloat. You log. And you move on. The call came mid-afternoon. I was reviewing new candidate tags in the hiring database when my phone buzzed. Dad. The last time he called, he accused me of being cold. Before that, he didn't call at all. I answered, not out of kindness, but curiosity. His voice was low. Tired. You've made your point, he said, skipping any greeting. I leaned back in my chair. Which one? This thing with Paige. She can't get a call back. She's spiraling. It's everywhere. I waited. You know people. You've built something. You can't shut it down. Built something, I echoed. Funny. That's the first time I've heard you say it like that. He sighed. You're not a kid anymore. Neither is she. Maybe it's time to let it go. I felt that old familiar spark, the one I'd buried years ago at Bradford when I got my first demerit for back talk. This time, I didn't bury it. I'm not the one holding on, I said. She is. You are. I just keep records. Records? He said, skeptical. Stay on the line. I opened the file I'd built over years. family_incurred_assets.excelsex. Each tab color-coded by name. Each row time-stamped. Each expense labeled: tutoring, legal help, therapy denied, relocation costs, school fees, lies covered. I took a screenshot of tab 3 page, subsidized damage, where I listed every dollar they spent shielding her. $3,200 for her first apartment when she failed out of school. $7,800 for her unpaid internship summer. $4,000 for the debt she hid in a friend's name, which Dad paid off. I added a second shot, tab 1 me, collateral damage. Military school deposit, $9,500. Lost summer job, $1,800. Mental health sessions declined, 11. Legal consultation denied, 1. Then I texted both screenshots to his phone. He didn't speak for a while. When he finally did, his voice cracked. You kept records? Numbers don't lie, I said. People do. That's psychotic, he snapped. No. That's forensic. You always said I was dramatic. I just learned how to log my drama. You made her unemployable. She did that, I replied. I just made sure it followed her. This isn't justice. It's punishment. Maybe. But you raised me in a house where there were no consequences for her. Only for me. So I built some. Quietly. Carefully. And now the math is doing what you never did. He started to say something, then stopped. And in that silence I added, You ever wonder why I never came home again? Why I stopped calling? It wasn't anger. It was math. I added up what you gave, and what I got. And I zeroed it out. The line was quiet. Then a soft, So what happens now? You go on. So does she. But you don't get to spin the story anymore. He hung up. No goodbye. No closure. Just a click. I stared at the screen for a while. That spreadsheet wasn't just a grudge file. It was my truth. And now it was his. Later that night, Mom left a voicemail. I read the file. I wish I had seen things sooner. I wish I had asked more questions. She didn't ask me to forgive her. And that was the most honest thing she'd ever done. I archived the screenshots into a folder labeled Concluded. Underneath it, I created one last row. Status, narrative corrected. No further action needed. Then I closed the file. Because when your whole life has been a ledger of imbalance, justice isn't loud. It's logged. I don't visit home anymore. There's no bad blood. Just no room for it in my calendar. I speak at conferences now. Not often, just when I feel the talk is worth it. I get invited to panels with people who used to post about hustle culture, while I lived off bulk rice and 7-year-old laptops. Sometimes I see a young developer after the event, hanging back. Nervous. Avoiding eye contact. Eventually they ask, How do you build Cinder? And I always pause. Because I could tell them about the code, the architecture, the iterations. But really? I built it because no one ever tracked the damage until it was too late. Cinder is standard now. It's part of onboarding at 6 different security firms. School districts use it to detect manipulation in financial aid systems. HR teams plug it in for compliance. Even some military academies license a stripped-down version. They don't know the full origin story. They don't need to. All they know is that it works. It catches the rot before it spreads. Last month, I got a forwarded email from one of our partners. A user had written, "This system saved my family's business. We caught my brother-in-law before it got too bad. Thank you." I stared at that line for a while. My brother-in-law stole from us. Not a metaphor. Not an algorithm. Just life, running in loops. Sometimes people still whisper that I went too far. That what I did to Paige was cruel. That I should have just moved on. But here's the thing. She still tells people she's misunderstood. Dad still tells people I got lucky. And I let them. Because what they don't know is that I wrote the standards they now live under. Not as revenge. As prevention. I have a new folder on my desktop now. It's not called Family. It's called Legacy. Inside are contracts, testimonials, growth charts. Proof that everything they dismissed in me was never broken, just untracked. The last time I heard from Paige, she sent one message. No threats. No fake apologies. Just, "Do you ever feel bad?" I thought about it. Typed a dozen replies. Deleted them all. Then finally wrote, "Only when I underestimate people. I won't make that mistake again." She didn't respond. That was the last message. And maybe that was mercy.